There's a stillness you only find in the mountains come late summer, evening light stretching long across the hills, and the kind of silence that feels more like peace than quiet. Up on a weathered porch in Everettville, two women sat with iced tea in hand and years between them, the air heavy with the kind of stories that don't get told all at once. A small frame sat on the edge of the porch shelf, weathered silver, the kind that's been polished more by touch than cloth. Inside was a faded photograph of a young man in miner's clothes, standing stiff but proud. His eyes held something strong and something fragile too. And on his lap a little brown-haired boy with eyes the color of sapphires, little James. Anna's eyes settled on the silver-framed photo resting quietly on the porch shelf. A soft smile tugged at the corners of her mouth as she leaned in for a closer look.
Is that James and your little boy?
Granny nodded, her gaze softening as it settled on the picture.
That's them. James McCrae, Sr. and our boy. He was our youngest, just 2 when we lost him. We were just kids when we married. Had our first baby not long after. Then came the second, both born in that little clapboard house the company gave us.
She paused, her voice a little quieter.
That's the only picture I have of little James. James never much liked sitting for photos, but I'm mighty glad we did that day.
Granny smiled softly, eyes still on the picture frame.
He was always right at James's heels. Didn't matter what his daddy was doing, that boy was right there trying to do it too. James even whittled him a little shovel one spring. Had a handle just the right size for those little hands. Lord, he'd follow him up and down the garden like he was plowing the whole mountain.
Her voice caught for just a second.
Strong hands just like his daddy, even then.
She let the silence settle for a breath before continuing.
He was the only boy left to carry James's name. When he passed, it felt like the Lord closed a book I wasn't ready to finish. There's no one left now to carry it forward.
Anna reached over, gently resting her hand on Granny's.
That must have been so hard, losing him and raising babies on your own. I'm so sorry, Granny.
Thank you, darling. It was. I still remember the day they brought word. The mine had taken others before, but you never think it'll be yours. I had 2 little mouths to feed and no way to keep our home. Company rules back then. Widows had to vacate unless they remarried.
The silence that followed wasn't uncomfortable. It was sacred. The kind passed down from woman to woman, born of shared losses and quiet strength.
That's when Henry stepped in.
He wasn't looking for a wife, and I wasn't looking for love. But we found something steadier. Kindness, loyalty, and a roof over our heads. It kept my babies warm. That mattered more than romance ever could.
When did little James pass?
He got sick the winter after James passed. I did everything I could, home remedies, prayers, the doctor from town. But it wasn't enough. I laid him to rest beside his daddy on a quiet hillside near Buckthorn Hollow. Only my daughter was left.
I'm so sorry, Granny.
Thank you, darling. I still had my little girl to raise. She kept me going. But when I see the mine still standing and James and our boy both beneath the soil, it's hard not to feel like the earth took more than it gave back.
Is that when you and Henry moved here to Everettville?
Henry had a little inheritance from an uncle, just enough to get us this place. Not fancy, but it was ours. Off company land finally. No one could tell me to pack up and leave this time.
and you've made it into a home, one full of love and stories and peace.
That's what I wanted. A place where the past could be remembered without swallowing the living whole. A porch to sit on, a breeze to carry the weight now and then. House sounds full today. I like that.
Granny, we've surely enjoyed staying here the past few days. Thought it'd be good to get out of town for a bit, slow down. Jesse's been helping Tom in the shed. Bessie follows you around like a shadow. And baby Tommy, well, you got him spoiled.
That's what grannies are for. And it does my old heart good to hear life fill these walls again. It reminds me what all the hardship was for, so y'all could have something better, something lasting.
It means the world to be here, to sit on this porch with you and listen to your stories and how you overcome all your hard times. Gives me hope for me and my family's future.
I've been meaning to give you this. Figured now was as good a time as any.
What is it, Granny?
It belonged to James. He kept it in the mine, held little things that meant something to him. A piece of coal from his first shift, a photo of us, a button from our baby boy's coat, and a letter. One he wrote to me right before he passed. I never opened it, Anna. Couldn't bring myself to.
Oh, Granny.
It's time now. Time for it to be passed on. I know you already carry the weight of sacrifice, Anna. Will didn't get the chance to leave you words, but maybe James's will help fill that silence. Maybe they'll give you a little peace, knowing that kind of love doesn't go unspoken, even if it ain't said out loud.
Granny shifted in her chair, and for a moment her eyes lit up, not with sorrow, but with something sweeter. Pride, hope. The kind of light that only grows from the deep roots of family. She got up, went into the house, and returned with another photograph, this one newer, the paper still crisp. A young woman with her mother's chin and her own soft grace smiled up from the frame.
Girl,
Granny, is that a photo of your daughter?
that's my Esther, my baby girl. She met that boy at church. He was just passing through helping lead youth services. He went off to school not long after, studied to be a preacher, and she waited for him. They've got a sweet little church now down in a hollow in Virginia, place called Sugarloaf Ridge.
She looks so much like you.
She's got more grace than I ever did. I'll be visiting them come Christmas, and they'll be moving here before long. He's going to be pastoring the new church over near the Ridge Road. They'll be staying here a bit till their parsonage is finished being done up proper. I imagine it'll take 'em a while.
She'll be good for this place, and this place will be good for her.
That's how it works, baby girl. We come to these mountains thinking we'll build a life, but sometimes it's the life here that shapes us, molds us, even heals us.
The truck rolled up the drive, tires crunching over gravel, dust curling behind it like breath on a cool morning. Jesse was the first out, taller now, with the gangly limbs of a boy caught between childhood and something just past it. He'd spent the afternoon working beside Tom in the shed, not just watching anymore, but helping, really helping. He asked the right questions, held the nails steady, and handled the hammer like it had started to feel natural in his hands. Granny called out with a smile, patting the porch seat beside her. Jesse made his way up the steps, not bounding like a little kid, but walking tall, proud of the work he'd done and of the man he'd spent the day beside. He sat next to Granny and told her all about it, how Tom had let him measure and hammer the brace on the new frame, how they'd talk about finishing it next weekend, and then, almost offhand but not careless, he said it. He called him Daddy. It wasn't shouted or slipped in by mistake, it was steady. Sure, like he'd thought about it for a long time and had finally decided the name fit. Anna froze just for a breath, hand fluttering to her chest, eyes shining. Tom didn't speak. He didn't need to. The moment had been earned, slow and quiet, like all lasting things. He stepped forward, wrapped his arms around Jessie, and Jessie hugged him back, without hesitation. Granny watched it all from her rocker, her smile soft as morning light. She looked at Jessie just the way all grannies would look and said,
"Sounds like you and your daddy had a good day."
Granny cleared her throat and straightened her dress. There were tears in her eyes, but she had cornbread in the oven and pride in her voice, and she had hungry mouths to feed.
"Well, I ain't letting y'all leave just yet. Supper's nearly ready, and I've made enough to feed the holler. Besides, I still haven't seen that rock Jesse said he found."
The table inside was worn smooth by years of meals and memories, but it held everything they needed. Bowls of green beans, mashed potatoes, roast chicken, and a big slab of cornbread steaming in the center. Bessie sat beside her daddy, chatting endlessly about the picture she'd drawn. Little Tommy squealed with glee every time he dropped a spoon and someone picked it up. Anna and Tom didn't say much, they didn't have to. They gazed at each other every now and then, small smiles exchanged between bites. The kind of peace that's hard-earned and rare. Granny watched them all quietly, not needing to speak, just rocking in the chair she'd claimed decades ago, watching what love had built. Later, bellies full and dishes drying in the sink, the family gathered on the porch one last time. Fireflies blinked across the yard, and the night was heavy with that sweet Appalachian summer air. Tom lifted baby Tommy into the truck while Anna helped Bessie climb in beside Jessie, who already had the front seat claimed.
Thanks so much for supper, Granny.
Y'all be careful on the road now. And don't forget, I'll be expecting to see y'all at service this Sunday.
There's no need to worry about that. We'll be there for sure. You have a good night, Granny.
Night, my darlings.
She lingered on the porch just a moment longer, watching as the taillights disappeared beyond the bend in the road. The hum of the night settled in, soft, familiar. Then she turned and stepped inside, her footsteps quiet on the worn wooden floor. The lantern was already lit, its flame casting a gentle glow across the room. She carried it to the front window and set it on the sill, where its light could shine out into the night, just like it had so many. For James, for the boy she lost, for Will, and now for the family that still found their way home. And with that, she made herself ready for bed, leaving the lantern burning through the night to keep watch just a little longer. Thank you for spending a little time with us today and for listening to this chapter of The Widow's Lantern. These hills have a way of holding on to stories, and Granny's is far from finished. We can't wait to share the next chapter in the Widow's Lantern saga, where old letters are opened, new paths unfold, and the past gently reaches into the present once more.